Spain has not fully implemented any of the anti-corruption recommendations urged by the Council of Europe, and this puts judicial independence at risk, the international body warned today. Hello and welcome to Catalan News. Spanish justice is in the spotlight, from the Catalan process that has seen judges jailing MPs or blocking others from being elected president because of the independence push, to the recent decision by a court to reject rape charges against a gang of men that assaulted a young woman, or the jailing of a hip-hop artist. Confidence in Spain's judiciary is not at its best. Today here at Catalan News, we'll get you the latest on this and explain the recommendations that an international body has urged Spain to implement in order to improve. And bear with us to discover the latest in Parliament to elect a new president. Judges should not have any political interference. They should not be politically elected, and corruption should be persecuted fully whether it happens in Parliament or in the judiciary. These seem like obvious statements for a democratic state, but many European countries are still far from perfect when it comes to fighting corruption. According to a European Commission report, Spain is one of the worst countries in the EU when it comes to the perception of the judiciary's independence. Only Slovakia and Bulgaria are considered to be worse. And today, the Council of Europe warned that the Spanish government is not doing enough to solve this.
Can corruption be prevented? According to the Council of Europe, the answer is yes. But it is no easy task. Every year, the anti-corruption body of this human rights organisation issues a report assessing the measures taken to tackle corruption in Europe and North America. Last year's report is now out, and the picture it paints is dark. Several countries have not yet implemented recommendations issued 5 years ago, and Spain is no exception.
There were 11 recommendations regarding Spain. None of them were implemented fully. So we are expecting and waiting to Spain to implement all of them fully.
The reforms aim to prevent not only corruption, but also society's perception of corruption. This includes codes of conduct for politicians, as well as measures to protect the separation of powers.
So what we are expecting Spain to do is to ensure there is no political influence in the selection, appointment, and the recusal of judges. And that is related to the High Judicial Council, where we want to see that the majority, more than a half of the members, are judges elected by judges.
The report comes at a moment when the Spanish judiciary faces strong criticism over freedom of speech and the prosecution of Catalan political leaders. Spain stands as the only country, along with Belgium, that has implemented none of the suggested measures. In 4 areas, no action has been taken at all.
Catalan politics continues to be in an exceptional situation. More than 6 months have passed since Spain suspended self-government after a declaration of independence. In December, elections were held and a new parliament was elected, with pro-independence forces winning an overall majority. So far, though, they have been unable to form a new government. Today, Parliament was in session and MPs debated several motions, from the independence of the public media to a possible inquiry on espionage to the role of Catalonia in the EU. The elephant in the room, however, is the same as always. Who will be the next Catalan president? Will there be a new government in time to avoid a snap election? Pro-independence parties say they have a plan and won't waste their majority, but so far all their attempts to form a government have failed. Our colleague Rachel Bathgate has been following this plenary session in Parliament and knows more about what could happen in the next few days. Rachel, all eyes are set on tomorrow's session. What have you learned today?
Yes, hi Alex. So here in the Catalan Parliament, in less than 24 hours, MPs are set to vote on a hotly disputed issue: the possible amendment of the presidential law to allow for a swearing in at a distance. This is significant because while all presidential candidates have been blocked by Spain, they've also all faced the concrete issue of not being able to attend the plenary and the debate in person, either because they're abroad or because they're in prison. In fact, remember, the main pro-independence leader, the deposed President Carles Puigdemont is currently in Germany. So even if parties are able and do pass this new law to allow the voting of a new president who is not physically there in person, Spain is likely to suspend it. And whether elected MPs are and should be allowed to exercise their political rights while not physically there in the chamber has been a hotly disputed issue. In fact, just today, Unión Ciudadanos party requested that the Spanish Constitutional Court forbid the delegated vote of deposed President Carles Puigdemont and dismissed Minister Toni Comín. Both men are abroad, and both men are facing extradition orders in the countries where they currently are. Their ability to vote here in the Catalan chamber has only recently been granted, and this ability to vote has been crucial to the pro-independence majority. In fact, without these votes, the pro-independence majority will be hampered in their ability to elect a new president.
The pro-independence force's main candidate for the presidency was Carles Puigdemont, the sacked Catalan president currently in Germany. Spain has vowed to impede all attempts to elect him again and is fighting to get him extradited for rebellion and misuse of public funds from Germany. He was arrested there at the end of March, but a court decided he should be released while it considers the case against him. The Catalan leader's presence in Germany has shocked many there and is even becoming an uncomfortable political issue. We can speak now with German MP André Juncker, member of the Bundestag for the Die Linke party. Hello, Mr. Juncker.
Good evening.
What do you think of the European arrest warrant against Carles Puigdemont, especially since he was arrested in Germany?
Well, for a lot of Germans it was a shock when he was sentenced here, or he was took in prison in Germany, because 30 years of rebellion because of the referendum he did. This is very strange. In the end, it's a political issue. It's not a question which should be solved through judges and through prisons.
You have asked the German government about police surveillance against Puigdemont. Why is that?
Well, I'm dealing a lot with questions on surveillance issue, as well on European and international police cooperation, Secret Service cooperation, and all these issues. And when it came to the Puigdemont case in Germany, I wanted to know if there was surveillance used on the German territory, maybe with the involvement of other international actors, but so far I didn't get any clear answer.
Which would be the best solution, in your opinion, on the Catalan situation?
I think the whole Catalan issue is a political question. It should be solved politically. It should be solved through talks, through negotiations with representatives from Catalonia and from Madrid. And I think there should be some international involvement to mediate, to support this process. So far it doesn't exist, but I think this is the only solution.
Thank you very much for being with us, Mr. Juncker.
Thank you.
Let's move on to a different topic now. Women all over the world are speaking out against sexual violence. You may have heard about the Me Too movement. Here in Catalonia, women have been empowering themselves in recent months as well. The March the 8th demonstration was, this year, one of the biggest in decades, but there is still a lot of work to do, as recent developments in Spain show.
After the verdict of the controversial La Manada or Wolfpack case sparked outrage, with thousands of people taking to the streets in Barcelona and beyond, sexual violence is in the spotlight again. Shockwaves of the case, in which 5 men were acquitted of gang rape and were instead found guilty of sexually abusing an 18-year-old girl, are even being felt farther afield than Catalonia in Spain. Despite objections from Spain's ruling People's Party, MEPs, the case was debated in the European Parliament on Wednesday. The European Justice Commissioner spoke of the importance of having a verdict that sends the correct message when it comes to rape cases in general.
So if there is not the right interpretation, then the perpetrators will see impunity in these cases. They will see that this is authorized by the state. This is allowed. This is cheap. This is easy. And I think that this is not only a legal problem, this is moral hazard.
Even the UN's Women's Executive Coordinator, Purna Sen, spoke out about the Wolfpack case, saying the verdict diminishes the severity of the violation. According to figures released by the Catalan police today, around a quarter of the women who reported incidents of rape in 2017 were underage. Out of 757 reported cases, almost 200 were young girls. Gender violence is a global issue, the widespread reach of which is becoming more and more evident, especially with campaigns such as Me Too on a global level. In Catalonia and also in Spain, after the Wolfpack ruling, more campaigns began. This included No is No and I Believe You. As these movements demonstrate, one thing is certain: there is still a long way to go for this problem to be solved.
Grifols is one of the biggest Catalan multinationals. It is a giant company in the pharmaceutical and research sectors, and today has released very positive revenue figures. The pharmaceutical giant's revenue grew more than 7% in the first quarter of the year, making profits of up to 143 million euros. Grifols specializes in producing blood plasma and is the largest producer in Europe and worldwide. The group has almost 200 centers in the US and 35 in Europe, a 50% increase since the start of its expansion plan 2 years ago. Let's continue with the good news, but now in the cultural field. Catalonia is preparing its presence at the Architectural Venice Biennale, where it will be represented by the recent winners of the prestigious Pritzker Prize, considered as the Nobel Prize of the architecture world. RCR Architectes are to reveal a project at the Venice Biennale that will shed light on the minds behind the Catalan company's architectural visions. They will represent the most intimate universe of Rafael Aranda, Carme Pigem and Ramon Vilalta, creative minds at RCR. Their works can be found throughout Catalonia and abroad, and they include, for example, a library in Ghent, Belgium. Amongst their future projects are one in China and another one in the US. And with this, we've finished today's show. We leave with some images of street artists from all over the world that are working in a small town in Western Catalonia. Their works are quite impressive, and they're changing the atmosphere in this small town of less than 1,000 inhabitants, quite a lot. Enjoy, and see you tomorrow.